What's up, everybody, and welcome to Your Weed Stories on the Craft Growers Network. Today, we're super excited to have what I am comfortable calling a legend in cannabis as well. His name is DJ Short. He's one of the most well-known breeders from the U.S. from the past. So, like I said, he was responsible for the blueberry and the flow, and we're super excited to have him on the show. So welcome, DJ.
Hey, thank you. Great to be here.
Thanks. And before we started, I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge that this week we lost Skunkman Sam. And, you know, he's a very, what is it called when people want to choose one side or the other?
Polarizing.
Polarizing figure. Exactly. Thank you, Francis. He's my dictionary. He's a very polarizing figure, as is Neville. I think a lot of people have felt throughout the last years that they either have to choose one side or the other. And frankly, I think that they've both contributed tremendously to our community, and they should both be honored. And, you know, I don't think now is the time to discuss any controversies. I think that we need to all send our best wishes to their families, and, you know, for a second, just think about he did make tremendous contributions to our cannabis community. And Not So Dog, you were saying something before we started. I think it's a valid point that if you want to say it again.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'll do 2 points. One, I was talking to a friend, and I kind of feel like Neville was sort of like the Johnny Appleseed of our community, right? And Sam Skunkman and Rob Clark were sort of like the Luther Burbanks in a way, because Neville was the first person where you could just like, I mean, and Gabby and I did this a ton. You could open up a catalog and there was an order sheet and you could write down what you wanted and you could send that dude money and you could get seeds. And that was impossible before. You had to know someone, right? Neville was the first person where it was like, here's a catalog, right? And here's an address, you know? And so he made it very, very much easier to get seed, because before it was really a who you had to know someone. You had to know someone in your little circle. And Sam didn't do that. He was a bit different, but he did, when he was fleeing persecution in America, he did bring an enormous amount of genetics that he both had worked on and things he had gotten from his friends over to Europe. And then when those things blended with what the Europeans were doing, that was sort of the foundation for all these, like me or Gabby or kids looking through catalogs and being like, ooh, there's people of a certain generation that have all those first catalogs almost memorized because you would sit there and smoke a joint and read and dream, and so those guys created a lot of dreams. And, I mean, I think, there's controversy and stuff like that. But I think that when somebody passes or something like that, they have, maybe their wives, children, loved ones, friends, people that have known them forever. And we're all flawed. So it's better to focus on what people's contributions were, what the positive things about, people's lives were. And it's all easy to tear each other down. It's a lot better, I think, to like lift each other up. And so that's kind of that's all I have to say about the Vietnam War.
Thank you.
But I will say, and then we won't touch on it. When I first went to Amsterdam, there are beefs in cannabis. There are conflicts, and I would say that like that was one of the oldest ones. And so we weren't there. We don't have to rehash it, but. We can be a cantankerous bunch, and we don't all get along all the time,
And
so.
kind of like Sasha, our Slovenian hobbit, Sam was a bit of a hobbit. He wasn't in the public eye. And so I think it's kind of unfair to even try to choose sides when most of us don't even know a fraction of the story. We just know what the people that were more vocal said.
From our perspective, right? Basically, everybody in this room, both Sam and Neville did a whole bunch to make good genetics more accessible to a lot more people, and they played a huge role in that.
Yeah,
They really did.
I think there's no denying that.
Well, I'll say I got my first copy of that catalog. It was a mimeograph sheets, right? Just standard paper sized with the list on there. I think they were what, $30 for 10 seeds. And at the time, I understood the value of the Landrace genetics. I had some friends that were going over to Amsterdam, Europe, other places, and always put feelers out, say, hey, find me these Landrace. But it was right around that era that they disappeared. Pretty much everything they were selling was some cross they did. They weren't selling the bag seed per se, collected from country of origin. So that little or what do you call it, bifurcation in the road where making our own seed as opposed to Landrace kind of happened in that era. So that's just another little side point to that. Like I said, I tried, but I wasn't interested in other people's work. I saw the flaw in that, or I saw the value in those land races, and that became the focus at the time. But they weren't selling, like I said, Landrace varieties straight from the country.